Okay, going to walk you through the lettering, handle lettering on paper with the box method assignment, which is to create five hand-drawn letters in the form of a word. So first you're going to want to locate this resource right here, this guy. Ooh. Okay, you can click on it through the link or go to our website and find it there. Okay, I also put a picture of it here, but I'm not sure if you're going to be able to look at that on your website or on your iPad while drawing and stuff the whole time, since you might be working along with this video. So, you're going to have to figure that out, but there's lots of ways you can go about it. So here's the general procedure. First of all, you're going to sketch out the boxes for your 5-letter word with no measuring necessary, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now in this video. Using the reference alphabet on the previous page, sketch out your 5-letter word right here. Sketch that out. And then you're going to be measuring the boxes with a ruler. Sketch your 5-letter word out better. Okay, so this time you're doing the best you can, although this is still not your final copy, but you should be making a real effort to make it better. After completing the new measured sketch of the word, design the new lettering styles. Now, this is brainstorming time. You're not making your final anything, okay? You might not use all the letter designs. You might use the letter designs you come up with, but on all the letters or only some of the letters. Also, you feel free to look at many designs on the internet, in the resources you have. You're not being required to reinvent the wheel. Okay? Each letter should be different, and you may not use them all. You are allowed to erase and clean up a little. Okay, so when we're looking at this here, this first slide that shows things in action, number 1 shows you at the top of the page how I'm sketching out the 5 letters across. So this is going to take a little bit of guessing, but, trying to keep things consistent. Number 2, finding the midpoints, and then number 3, starting to add in the verticals. I like to add in the verticals first. If you, using my midpoints, if you want to add in the horizontals first, which would, start to look something like this, you can do that, okay? That's just my preference, but it's not required to do it that way. In this slide here, you can see that it's a close-up of me showing just that exactly, coming in and trying to add in my horizontals so that you can see those coming into this page. So in pop out number 1 here, you can see that I'm adding my horizontal lines, and I want to zoom in here again and show you that I definitely was doing some of this, all the way across to get horizontal lines that were more or less parallel. You can see that I did and did not succeed in that because I realized I was getting way off. We're going to talk about that more later. But in the sketch version, that's okay. All right. So here you can see I start to move into the letters of my word. So here's that starting, and I wanted you to see, practicing what I preach. I've got my light source, I've got my iPad with the letters over here, and I'm using that as a reference, okay? That's not cheating, that's called using your resources smartly. So here's my 5-letter word, and put it glowing like that because it's so amazing and awesome, right? And you might look at it and be like, yeah, that's awesome, she's great. And then I'm like, oh, no. Because look at what happened when I laid a ruler down, because the next step involves a ruler. I thought, I'm just going to look and see how big I should make my boxes. And then, even though I'm pretty good at eyeballing it, like that's something that, a skill that you can pick up over time. I'm not good at like, how far is a mile and like estimating that, but I'm pretty good at being like, how far in is a 1/4 inch and an inch. I was horribly inconsistent. So like if you look right here, this is where the inch mark measuring would start. So my first letter is a little less than 2 inches, right? And if I was going to say, oh, let's make them all a 1/4 of an inch, I did not stay consistent. Okay. And then if you were going to say, oh, well, they're all about 2 inches, but they're not. And they're not all a 1/4 of an inch. And it just was sad. Like I was like a little defeated, as you can see in my face. Okay. All right. But I have hope. Oh, wait, here's more badness. So I have two O's in my word, right? So here in number one, this is the bottom of the first O. And if you were measuring by quarter inches, that's what you would see. Here's the top of the first. Oops, I switched. My bad. Hold up. Here's the top of the first O. So the top and the bottom don't match. And then here's the second O at the end of the word. Also not matching. So, like, I was a mess. But I want to tell you something very important. That's okay for the first word. Yo. Okay, so that's okay for the first one. All right, but not okay for the second one. So look at this exciting stuff that's happening. I got out my ruler. I'm measuring my dots. We went over this in the one of the previous videos, right? How to measure the dots, and look at these things. Wow, they're beautiful, aren't they? Okay, so you get over here, you can see I'm starting to use two spots. On purpose, I don't know if you guys saw this. Let me go back for a minute really quick. Look at this edge. It's like the Rockies, okay? So down here, I on purpose chose that so that I could use this beautiful straight edge, straighter than my line, to measure from. So I'm building up my parallel lines, okay? That's what these two are about. And then I'm able to draw all these beautiful parallel lines, okay? And then I'm able to connect them. Really lovely. Now I'm able to start and then complete. I skipped a lot of frames because you didn't need to see them. And look at them compared. I mean, it's okay. My first attempt was fine, and I was able to really use it as a guide, quick sketch into measured sketch. Okay, it's helpful to go through the steps of the just quick sketching it in. All right, here's a side-by-side comparison. This was freehand, and this was measured out. Okay, now we get to the good stuff, because you're finally allowed to use an eraser. And you're going to do things like, let's say you just wanted to make this G rounder. It doesn't have to have straight sides. You can come in and make it round. And I wanted to do something snazzy with my O, which was to tilt it. So I just started coming in and shaping it that way. Okay, you can see how I did that. And then I got rid of the corner. This nonsense had to go. But do you see how you can come in and start to do that? So I did. I started to come in and I'm like, I want to make these interesting. I want to make these look like they reminded me of like wood planks. Maybe ones that, karate master had gotten a hold of. And I started to come in and I wanted these, in the end, they would look like they were things that were popping off or bitten. Oh, whoops, I accidentally triggered that. So like this, in the end, maybe I would erase that so that it's like lumpy. Okay? So that's how you're going to proceed through designing your fun stuff. And make it all of them different. That's really important. So I have options. So here's that side-by-side comparison again of the O and the W. The number one being the sketched version of squares and then letters. 2 being the let's shape it up version so that it's more measured and the proportions are just right. And the 3rd being your embellishments, the designs you like, things you're trying, not anything set in stone. Now, I want to point out it's really obvious in this side-by-side comparison that my sizes are a little different. The colors in my paper seem different. That's literally just because I worked on it on different times of day. I was sitting on my bed. I was sitting on my desk. I used my camera to take the picture. I used my iPad. That's all. Okay. So there was no monkey business. There's nothing like that. It was literally just the circumstances of my setting. Okay. And you might have that too if you were taking pictures and documenting your progress. Okay, so that's a quick run through if you are doing this assignment on paper with pencil. If you're doing it on your iPad, then pretty much everything is going to stay pretty similar, but you can imagine that you are not going to be doing the measuring. because you'll just use the grid paper that you can upload as a layer underneath. Because why on earth would I make you measure grid paper when you can just import it? That's ridiculous. Okay, thank you. Proceed and have fun.